Hyperkalemia. We are going to talk about hyperkalemia. We are going to talk about the causes and how you diagnose it, okay, and how you can treat hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia is a medical emergency, especially if it's very high. Hyper means high. Kalemia means potassium. Hyperkalemia, you can see the K, this potassium is very high. Yes, and it's making a tint. You'll know why I'm drawing this, so just put in mind hyperkalemia. Now, what are the causes of hyperkalemia? Before we talk about any of the causes of hyperkalemia, you should understand some basic things regarding the potassium metabolism in the body. The potassium metabolism, you have here the blood. Here's the blood vessel. Okay, it contains potassium and hydrogen ion. And here are the distal tubules of the kidney. Here are the distal tubules of the kidney, and they contain sodium. We all know that sodium is excreted in the proximal renal tubules, and when it reaches the distal renal tubules, the sodium is reabsorbed again to the blood vessel, and in exchange to it, the potassium will enter to the renal tubules, or the hydrogen ion will enter. So the sodium will be reabsorbed, and the potassium will be re-excreted, and the hydrogen ion excreted. But you can see this as a room which contains a team of 20 hydrogen ions and a team of 20 potassium ions. If they are equal in number, sodium will enter to the blood, and both of them can go because they are both of them equal in power. But if you have a lot of hydrogen ion in your blood, the hydrogen ion will win the battle between them, and only the hydrogen ion will go into the distal renal tubules because it has higher concentration in the blood. So we can see that acidosis will prevent potassium from running out through the distal renal tubule, and it will lead eventually to accumulation of potassium inside the blood and hyperkalemia. So the first cause, you can see that this is acidosis. But we are not still talking about the causes, just to take some idea. The other thing, we know that potassium is mainly intracellular, is an intracellular ion. Okay, the potassium more or less has the same concentration in the body as sodium, but most of it is inside the cells, meaning intracellular. If these cells die, all the potassium will go out through it. All the potassium will go out through it. Go to the extracellular volume, to the circulation, and there will be hyperkalemia. So anything that leads to death of any cells of the body, this will lead to hyperkalemia, either inside the body or in the tube that you took the sample for serum potassium. Now, the other thing that you should understand is that we have potassium, as we said, is lost through the urine by its excretion in exchange to sodium. When you are not passing urine, the potassium, as you are not passing urine, the potassium will stay into the body. The term is not passing urine. The thing is that your kidneys are not working. Your kidneys are not excreting any potassium and are not reabsorbing any sodium in exchange of it. So there will be no potassium excretion because there is no urine at all. So one of the causes is oliguric renal failure. The other thing is that in Addison disease, the absence of aldosterone, which leads to sodium reabsorption. Okay, and as the sodium is reabsorbed, in exchange to it there will be potassium excretion in the urine, and there will be loss of potassium. But in Addison disease there is no aldosterone. Okay, there is no aldosterone. In adrenal insufficiency in general there is no aldosterone, so the potassium will not be exchanged, sodium will not be reabsorbed, okay, and it will pass in the urine, but the potassium will stay high. Sodium is not being reabsorbed, so the potassium will not be excreted, as we just put here. If the sodium is not reabsorbed because of Addison, because there is no aldosterone, potassium will not be re-excreted, and so potassium will stay high in the blood. So we talked about oliguria renal failure, and we talked about Addison disease or adrenal insufficiency. But the other thing is that if the patient is passing urine, we're talking about oliguria renal failure. The patient is not passing urine, is not producing urine, so he will not lose any potassium. He has nowhere to lose potassium on it. Okay, so what happens? It happens that you have hyperkalemia. Okay, let's say that the patient is passing urine, but the potassium is not being excreted. Why? Because the patient is using a drug. This drug is a diuretic. Okay, it helps him pass urine, but it prevents him from losing potassium. This is a potassium-sparing diuretic. Okay, so this will lead to hyperkalemia also. So in review, we talked about that we have a blood vessel and we have the distal renal tubules. Potassium is being reabsorbed in exchange to either potassium or hydrogen ion. Which of them is higher is the one who is going to do the exchange, and which the one is lower, he will stay in the blood and it will accumulate and will lead to its higher concentration. So if you have sodium reabsorbed and the hydrogen ion is very high, the hydrogen ion will knock down the potassium. No, I'm going to pass, you stay in the blood. So the hydrogen ion will pass into the distal renal tubules and potassium will stay high in the blood. So this is acidosis, high hydrogen ion, acidosis. The other thing is that the cells in the body, if they undergo lysis, because most of the potassium is intercellular, the cells undergo lysis, the potassium will be released through the cells and into the blood, and this will lead to hyperkalemia.